Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Underdog Reacts, and I watched Alien Romulus with the tagline, "In space, no one can hear you." I don't know how I feel about the tagline, you know. We had first, in space, no one can hear you scream, okay, you know. Then we had on Earth, everyone can hear you scream or something like that. So, okay, but this one is just the same as the first one, you know, but you just leave out scream, you know. Yeah, no one can hear you. Scream. In space, no one can hear you. Scream. So, yeah, I don't know really how I feel about that line. It's kind of maybe a bit overdone, or just have something else, you know, something new. Not just the same thing and then just leave out the word. And then call it, yep, that's new. That's not new. Yeah, let's just start with the movie, shall we? We're in space. Shocker. And a ship is floating towards the camera. Yeah, it flies by, and yeah, we're flying a bit over the top of the ship, and we're going towards a window. We're looking inside, and we see, well, at first, you know, it looks like a microwave, to be honest, you know, but apparently it's a kind of a computer. You know, it pops on, and it says Echo Prop with double B 203, and then line after the 3. It then starts to, you know, process, and after it did that, it says MU-TH-UR, so mother, 9001 9001, waking up. So probably the mother program is starting up, I guess. Then we see the rest of the computers start up. Yeah, well, computers not really, but the rest of the equipment here that's surrounding it. Well, probably computers. I don't know how to call those. So let's say they're computers, but it's not screens. You know, it's just the computer itself. You know, the computer. We see a ship floating to some wreck, and the computer is counting down from 40 to when, you know, they intercept something. And that something, I don't know really what it is, but you know, we see it, you know, floating in space, and you know, the ship is coming closer. They open a kind of a hatch, not really a hatch, but two doors, you know, and while it's coming close, you know, it's perfectly intertwined, you know, and the thing flies inside. But also can leave that, because if you want to know what's happen next, watch the movie yourself. There are two interesting things about this movie, but I will come about that later. First of all, I'm gonna blame somebody, and I'm cool with that. Because I think everything that happened from a certain point is just one person's fault. He's to blame, and that's Bjorn. From the moment he decided to take what's her face? Yeah, I don't know her name. Something with the V, I think. Vectron or something like that. After she was, she had this face hugger on her, she had a face hugger on her, and they pulled that thing off by freezing, its tail, and they pulled it off, and that thing, it was long, that was inside her mouth, that thing that lays the eggshell in you, that thing was long. Maybe maybe 30 centimeters or something like that, so a foot, around a foot maybe, or 30 centimeters, around that length, It's thing's long. I didn't know that's inside a face hugger. Where does it keep it, or does it just inflates and just flattens? I don't know. That brings that question, but so I got that thing off her, the thing out of her also, and he decided to take her back to the ship, but she's infected, and he leaves the others behind. Well, except for Kate, because Kay, what was it? Kay. Except for Kay, because she was still in bed on the ship. But he took her, and he went somewhere else on that ship, as they were still on that wreck, they were on a wreck of something. And sorry guys, I'm a bit itchy. And so he took her back, and Kay woke up, and something happened to Vector. The thing started to get out, and she kicked by accident, kicked something, and that started to make the ship fly bad, and crash into the thing that they were standing on, and they had at first also a couple hours that before the wreck crashed into the ring of whatever planet that is, and due to that it became an hour or 30 minutes or something like that. I think an hour it was. 15 minutes, I can't remember, but due to that, so now she's dead. She would have been dead if you left it behind too, but now you have an alien on board, and after, we never seen actually how the chest burster became alien. I think we never had that connection. Yes, we know that it turned from that into that, but does it grow? Apparently, well, this movie says no, because there was a giant vagina hanging on the wall, and yes, that's what it looked like. It legit looked like a giant vagina hanging on the wall. And apparently that's a kind of a cocoon where that chest burst is in, and that turns into the full xenomorph, because we saw it on pop after, well, Bjorn died. He started to stab it, and it was maybe something with electricity too. He pulled it out, and it was due to the acid, down, It was broken, melted away. That's what they're looking for, and then it spewed acid out, and he got hit. Acid van, acid, and then acid on his chest. He touched it, and then Tony, illegit, he died out of nowhere. You know, just Tony, and dead, which was kind of funny actually. Now that I think back of it, but that was kind of weird too. So yeah, and then an alien came out. Apparently, this movie takes place in between the first two Alien movies, between the original Alien and Aliens, which is the sequel, to the first Alien movie, with what's her face, with Ripley. We had also a scene where what was her name? Our main character. What's her name? Please say her name. Say her name. Say her name. Nope. Thingy and Andy were flying into a elevator shaft, going up, because it was on zero gravity, because directly below there is no more spaceship, so there's just space. So, and there were lots of aliens, so if they shot in normal gravity, the acid blood would have gotten down and fell on the ground. So, there would have been vacuum. You know what happened. Everything would have sucked out and she would have died. So she hit zero gravity, and that made the acid blood, fly around. And so they were climbing up. Flying up, and zero gravity then stops. She was maybe a meter away, maybe a couple feet away from Andy, who already had the ladder, but she just didn't reach him, and she fell down. But she was saved by an alien, which which I found very weird, because an alien saving a human, that shit doesn't happen. Well, a xenomorph, a xenomorph saving a human, that shit doesn't happen, But there was also something weird about it, because it had a kind of maybe a crack or something, and there was some electricity, going through it. So I think that was the one that Bjorn, stabbed with that thing, that just came out of that vagina cocoon. It's probably that one. So it just bit fucked in the head and saved her, instead of, let her fall to her death. What's her name? I'm still blanking on. they saved Kay because Kay was taken away by the alien while she was stabbed and taken away by the alien. Um, and Thingy found her again, so they taking her back to the ship. But when they gave Andy a kind of a other chip, to get access to the whole ship, so that he can open doors and control Mother. His normal program was overwritten to get back to the colony with some file with shit in it, but to make the ultimate human. Well, I will talk about that a bit later. Kay was stabbed and she was bleeding a lot, and and he was hit or something and was laying on the ground here because he's an android. And Thingy went back while Kay was she was okay. The elevator goes to the ship, fly away, I'll find a way. And she gave her the things with the files for the ultimate human, And so Kay went back, and Kay injected herself with said virus. With the file with said virus, Well, and we saw what it can do. Because after they caught up again with her, and they put her in a cryopod. And a bit later, the Thingy went to the cryopod, to get in herself. But then, Kay's cryopod, made an alarm, and she opened it, and there was Kay, pregnant. Hours from when she injected herself, and she gave birth to, I don't know, a kind of egg thingy, not muscle, but clam, maybe, I don't know. Well, acidy. It was acidic. Well, the inside was full of acid because at first, you could grab it, but then later, you couldn't after it tried to open up, and inside was a kind of a baby. Inside was a kind of baby. Inside the acid. Inside the clam. And that thing grew up fast. Because we saw the adult version too. Jesus Christ, there are not a lot of terror. That thing is made of night terrors. That thing is made of night terrors, dude. Jesus Christ, Now, if you suffer from sleep paralysis, this is probably your demon that you would see, That I don't have that shit, and hopefully, knocking on wood, I hope we never get that shit. But this is probably what I would see. Oh, jeez. I've seen lots of movies with horror and creatures, but this shit trumps even Meat Canyon. That says a lot. But it was very nice design, but Jesus Christ, dude. And it had a tongue, a long tongue. It had a mouth tongue, well, not like that, but like a tongue. And that thing, it had, a mouth. It was big too. And the mission, the mission that was overwritten first, was to get back to the colony needs to make more of that. Because that apparently the perfect human or something like that, the perfect specimen, whatever. And the last point is Thingy survived. And as far as we know, she made it to whatever planet that she was going to. So, and unless they have a sequel coming, that is in between this movie and Aliens, then we can assume that she survived. Which means that she is the only one in this whole franchise that made it. Because everybody else died. Even Ripley, she died at the end, because she had the alien queen inside her, and then she fell, in molten lead. So she even died. Yes, Newt survived at first, but then, she died drowning. So she died, she didn't have a happy ending. So we can only assume that, if they don't make a sequel to this movie, that's, even a prequel to Aliens, or just is during the same time as Aliens, but happening on a different place, then we can assume that she has a happy ending, and she's the only one that has a happy ending. Well, except for Ripley at first. Ripley survived the first movie, and she had a happy ending, except for the night terrors. But then she had the opportunity for. Somebody got there, like I said in the second movie, and said for, hey, we need your help, and she chose to help them. If she didn't do it, she probably wouldn't have died at the very end, So, well, not of that movie, but later on. So, she had the chance of a happy life with night terrors, but she chose to take the other path and die at the end, and then get cloned. With so they kind of succeeded at the end to make the perfect human. If you really think about it, because in one of the early movies that we watched, which is not obviously a sequel to this one, they kind of made the perfect human. With acidic blood. That's interesting. Overall, it was a good movie. 4 out of 5. At first, I thought, it's a decent movie, but I think I can give this one a 4 out of 5 because that creature put it really at 4. Jeez, that thing is made of night terror. Is made of night terrors. But leave likes, recommend a good alien movie down below in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to my second channel on the kids where I do food strings every week. Also, time hot sauce and alcohol. On my third channel, Underdog Reacts, where I do primarily music. Link down below in the description. And see you guys next time. Bye.